Welcome back on Deynon. Today I want to propose you a video about a new project for the Road to Diorama S series. And so I decided to combine two different models. The first one is the Lord Arcanum of Gryph Charger, and these models come from the set box of the second edition Subwars that has this inside. The other ones come from the insert of the September 2016 Wedarf, and it's a Slaughterpriest of Khorne, and here you can see its instruction to be built, and here you can see how I realized it, so that you can see the model itself with a bit of Patafix. I kept aside only a little piece of it that I was not meaning of inserting it in the model, and here you can see what is the model, and then we'll go to see how I modified it in the way to monetize, in the way to make it using the green stuff on it to change a bit of it, and so now we can go to see it. And after to have compressed the Gryph Charger all together so that I don't have main gaps, I used a bit of green stuff because there is some things that I want to polish and made off from this model. And the first one it's about the part of the bottom of the model itself, because I don't like how plain it is. It does not have any armor and so on. So I decided to fill it with green stuff that I can then work together to make that it's completely filled, so that I can recreate a sort of feeders or a sort of anything that could make have not so plain, because okay, it's usually not be so in sight as it should be, but I change the angle of the mod itself so it's more seeable such part. So I decide to make that it's not so bad at it's the base model. And so I used different tools, experimenting them to create such feeders. About these, remember that you had to start from the end and move to the begin, so that you could understand really quite good how you want. Because, for example, I decided to create a sort of triangular shapes, and I didn't want to touch again the ones that I finished. So I decided to move from the end, so the ones that the feeder starts, so that I was able to realize them. And in such a way, I was able to make that these feeder were in a sort of rhomboid or triangular shapes. And so you had to pay attention how you cut. And each time that you do, you can move the green stuff that you not used a little further, so you can create such type of steps. Eventually you can try different movement or try different steps so that you make a first layer and then other ones. It's up to you decide. Still, I suggest you to move really slowly and step by step realizing. Sincerely, I liked the final effect. Surely it could be much better, but the effect that I wanted, it's the one that I was able to have at the end. I did the same for the back of the head of the Gryph Charger, because it was not so good the design there, so I decided to polish it, and then I filled and polished the gaps of the different part of the models, mainly the mantle, because it was not good to see some incision on it, and also about the upper part of the Gryph Charger itself, because it was not good to see as it was. So here it's the main part about the Lord Arcanum or Gryph Charger, use about the green stuff. Little things, but useful. And then I decided to monetize the head of the Lord Arcanum. This, it was in the way that I was able to change it in the case that I wanted, or simply change the direction that the model was seen. So I think that it's a simple one, but always useful. And then I painted the Lord Arcanum of Gryph Charger. I decided to paint separately the model and use different subassembling and painting, because I needed them to be reachable, because otherwise it was a problem to reach and paint some of such parts. And then I temporarily subassembled them to find the angles of the different parts of the Stormcast to use in the way that it was making such dueling with the Lord Arcanum on Gryph Charger. And to do this, I decided to analyze the position of the head in the way that it was seen the Lord Arcanum itself. And so I found the gap of the neck itself to the head. The same can be said about the arm, the right one, in the way that I was able to find the gap to combine to make it dueling and blocked by the Gryph Charger itself. So I decided to glue these parts together and then use such as a reference to create and fill such gaps with muscles. Obviously, you have to pay attention when you manipulate the model after that you build everything, and use little bit of green stuff, eventually use more step of green stuff, and pay attention. Go without having any pressure, take your time to do everything, because you need the time to make all you need. I decided first to fill the gap in the way that it was perfect close, and after that you filled everything and so on, using step by step the green stuff. So again, use as much as you need, not have any worry. It's better to add a bit of green stuff step by step than had to remove it, because you'd make a bit of mess eventually. So pay attention about such step. And after that you finish everything, when you feel that you have made the work that you need, use a silicone pen or so on, in the way that you can smooth the surface and adapt to the design of the neck itself. And similar to what we have done about the neck, we had to do about the right arm of such model. Remember that about this, in this situation, the contact part it's even smaller, so you have to pay even more attention when you add the green stuff, so that you don't bring the contact point. So step by step add a bit of this stuff each time and take your time doing it, not be in hurry, because it's not something that you have to have hurry to do. So step by step add a bit of it, made with the silicone part, so that you can smooth the part and see if it's all what you need or you need a bit more. And really, step by step, taking your time, you can do it and sculpt it following the natural part of the muscle. Eventually you can use anatomy book if you want, you prefer to be more precise. Still, it's not necessary, because you can simply follow the, I can say, the design of the model itself and create the muscle if you need. But really, step by step you can feel it, because it was my first experiment about such big gap of muscle recreation, and the final effect, it was something that I was perfectly satisfied about, because it's something that you can really smooth doing, because it's something that you can even see your own arm in that position to think about what it will have the final effect the model itself. And here we can see the final effects of the green stuff that I realized on such model. And obviously after have done this, you have to paint in the way that it recall the colors that you painted the model to start with, so it's something that see the finished model. And then it was time to assemble the model using some referral points that were the point of contact to make more stable this model itself on the base and together. I left out only such piece of the Slaughterpriest of Khorne, because it was something that I deemed not useful. But I wanted to add a more experiment to make a sort of movement of the mace itself of the Slaughterpriest. So I decided to use a piece of part that you can take from a transparent fishnet or similar one, and so connect the base itself to the mace. Eventually you can make a little hole in the mace to make that it's more solid. This is because the mace it's quite thin as a touch point, and in some way I can create also more emotion, dynamic motion to use, and it's something that I perfectly needed. So I made a bit more solid the piece of fishnet to the base itself, using again a bit of snow of the Vallejo in the way that it can make that it's similar, that it moves a bit of the terrain itself, and in some way it's a way to make it more dynamic, so that it's quite interesting the final effect that you can gain. And then I used a bit of the Citadel Technical Blood for the Blood Code, that it's perfectly suited, to paint this link of the mace and the terrain itself, and paint it, the mace itself, with a bit of it, so that it was represented like it was moving terrain, and a bit of blood, that it was part of the massacre itself on the battlefield. This diorama is assembled in the way that the Slaughterpriest is seeing the Lord Darquilor, and instead the Lord Darquilor and the Gryph Charger are seeing the Slaughterpriest of Khorne. So the enemies are watching each other. So, from Deynon mode, it's everything. I invite you to put a like on this video, to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell, and to comment this video if you are interested in something about this video, or you want to suggest me some arguments for other videos. I hope to see you again.